People often ask me one simple question: what can $11 buy in Vietnam? Today, I'd like to answer that question, not by showing you a shopping list, but by showing you an ordinary day of my life. Because sometimes the value of money isn't measured by how many things it can buy, but by the kind of day it allows us to live. I live alone in northern Vietnam, so grocery shopping has become part of my weekly routine. Today, I have a budget of 300,000 Vietnamese dong, which is about 11 US dollars. It isn't a lot of money, but for one person, it can still go surprisingly far if you spend it carefully. Living alone has changed the way I think about money. I don't buy everything I want anymore. I only buy what I know I'll actually use. When your budget has a limit, every choice matters. So today, I'll start with the things I need most. The first thing I picked was a carton of milk. It may seem like a small purchase, but it's something I always keep at home. Some mornings it's my breakfast, other days it's simply a quiet drink before I start working. When you live alone, it's often the simplest things that become part of your daily routine. Next came something much less interesting: tissues. They're easy to forget when you make a shopping list, but they're one of those little things you end up using every single day. Living alone has taught me that a comfortable home isn't built by expensive things. It's built by the small things you always have when you need them. Before I buy anything, there's one place I always stop by: the teddy bear aisle. I've loved teddy bears since I was a child. Even now, I still slow down every time I walk past them. Sometimes I pick one up, look at it for a moment, and then quietly put it back. Living alone has taught me that not every little wish has to come true today. Some things can simply wait until the right time. I also picked up a green tea face mask. It only costs a little, but it's one of the small ways I take care of myself. When you live alone, no one reminds you to slow down or rest. So sometimes, even a simple face mask feels like a quiet reminder to be a little kinder to yourself. The next thing I chose wasn't something I truly needed. It was a scented air freshener. When you live alone, your room slowly becomes more than just a place to sleep. It becomes the place that quietly takes care of you after a long day. I like coming home to a room that smells fresh and feels peaceful. It's a small detail, but sometimes small details are what make a place feel like home. Before I leave, there's one more place I always visit: the home appliance aisle. There's a multi-cooker here that I've looked at many times. I really like it because it could make cooking much easier when you live alone. But today isn't the day I'll bring it home. It costs more than 1 million Vietnamese dong, which is far beyond what I can spend right now. A few years ago, that might have made me feel disappointed. Now, I simply tell myself that some dreams don't have to happen immediately. They just need a little more time. I also love walking through the homeware aisle. There are so many beautiful little things here: baskets, bowls, mugs, and plates. Sometimes I imagine how nice they would look in my small room. If I could, I would probably take half of this aisle home with me. But today I only have $11 to spend. So instead of buying everything I like, I choose to buy only what I truly need. I've realized that living alone isn't about having more things. It's about learning which things really matter. One of the things I love most about shopping in Vietnam is the fresh produce. There are so many kinds of vegetables, and most of them are still very affordable. Today, I chose green mustard and water spinach. They're simple vegetables, but they're part of many home-cooked meals in Vietnam. When I cook for myself, I don't look for complicated recipes. I just want something fresh, healthy, and enough to make me feel at home. Before leaving the vegetable section, I spent a little more time looking around. In Vietnam, fresh vegetables are easy to find, and there are many different kinds to choose from. Leafy greens, herbs, roots, and seasonal produce fill the shelves with color. Even when I don't buy them, I still enjoy seeing how fresh and varied everything looks. It is one of the simple things that makes grocery shopping here feel familiar and comforting. After picking up the vegetables, I decided to buy a little fruit as well. Today, I chose some rambutan. It's one of my favorite tropical fruits, especially when it's in season. I don't buy fruit every time I go shopping, but when I do, it always feels like a small treat at the end of the day. Sometimes, happiness can be as simple as bringing home your favorite fruit. Then I walked past the durian section. Durian is one of my favorite fruits, and every time I see it, I'm tempted to take one home. But today, I smiled and kept walking. With a budget of only $11, I wanted to save my money for the things I truly needed first. I've learned that sometimes the hardest part of grocery shopping isn't choosing what to buy, it's choosing what to leave behind. I also picked up a watermelon. In Vietnam, watermelon is one of the most popular fruits, especially during the warmer months. It's sweet, refreshing, and perfect to keep in the refrigerator for the next few days. For me, it's one of those simple things that always makes coming home feel a little nicer. Before leaving the fruit section, I chose one red dragon fruit. I really enjoy it, but compared to some of the other fruits, it's a little more expensive. So instead of buying several, I decided that one was enough. I found that living within a budget isn't about saying no to everything you enjoy. Sometimes is simply about knowing when enough is enough. The fruit section is always one of the most colorful parts of the supermarket. There are so many different kinds of fruit, and most of them look fresh and delicious. Before checking out, there's one more thing I never forget: food for my little cat. No matter how carefully I plan my budgets, there's always room for this. Seeing my cats happily waiting for dinner is one of the best parts of coming home. With the money I had left, I picked up 2 packs of instant noodles. They're simple, affordable, and always useful to keep at home. On busy days or when I don't feel like cooking, they become an easy meal. Sometimes it's the simplest foods that give us the most convenience. One by one, I placed everything onto the checkout counter. Looking at everything together, I realized that my basket wasn't filled with anything special. Just groceries, a few household items, some fruit, and food for my little cat. Each item was chosen for a reason, and every small decision had to fit within today's budget. There were things I wanted but didn't buy, and there were things I knew I couldn't live without. In the end, this wasn't just a shopping trip. It was another reminder that living alone means learning how to choose carefully. Not because life gives you less, but because every choice becomes your own responsibility. Finally, I was home. Every shopping trip ends here, back in my little room. It's not a big place, but after a long day, it always feels good to walk through that door. Living alone has taught me to appreciate these quiet moments. A room of my own, a few bags of groceries, and another ordinary day waiting to unfold. Back in my room, I slowly unpacked everything. One by one, the bags became lighter, while the table slowly filled up. Looking at everything I had bought, I felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. Nothing here was expensive, and nothing was bought on impulse. Just simple things that would become my meals, my daily routine, and little moments of comfort over the next few days. Living alone has taught me that a home doesn't need to be filled with expensive things. Sometimes, a table with fresh food, a clean room, and a peaceful evening are already enough to make it feel complete.
Và đây là thành quả của buổi mua sắm ngày hôm nay. Và chúng ta sẽ xem mỗi món sẽ có giá là bao nhiêu tiền nha. Đầu tiên đó là cải chip, giá là 15.000. Tiếp theo là rau muống có giá khoảng 14.000. Khăn giấy giấy ăn thì sẽ có khoảng giá là 19.000. Sữa là 36.000. 2 gói mì tôm là gần 10.000. Mặt nạ đó là khoảng 16.000 đến khoảng từ 12 đến 16.000. Đồ ăn cho mèo là 45.000. Chôm chôm là 25.000. thanh long là một quả này là 29.000. Quả dưa hấu sẽ có giá là 56.000. Và tổng thiệt hại của hôm nay là hết 294.000.
Before I even think about making my own dinner, there's someone else waiting for theirs, my little cat. Buying cat food is something I never forget whenever I go grocery shopping. No matter what else I bring home, I always make sure there's something for my little companion too. The first meal I prepare after coming home is never mine. Somehow, it has quietly become part of my daily routine. Watching my cat happily enjoy a meal always makes me smile. After a long day, moments like this remind me that even in a quiet room, I'm not completely alone. Once my little friend has finished eating, it's finally my turn to start making dinner. With my little cat happily enjoying dinner, it was finally my turn to start cooking. The first thing I always do is wash the rice and start the rice cooker. Rice is a part of almost every meal in Vietnam and is something I've eaten since I was a child. While the rice cooks, I have just enough time to prepare everything else. It's a simple routine, but after repeating it so many times, it has become one of the most familiar parts of my day. While the rice was cooking, I started preparing the pork. This wasn't meat that I bought today. My parents had sent it from our home in the countryside a few days ago. Whenever they have something good at home, they always save a little for me. Even though we don't live together anymore, they still find quiet ways to take care of me. Every time I cook with food from home, it reminds me that a family's love isn't always expressed through words. Sometimes it arrives in the simplest things, like a small piece of pork packed carefully for the journey. While the pork was boiling, I started preparing the water spinach. I picked out the tender stems and leaves, then washed everything carefully. Cooking has taught me that a good meal doesn't always need complicated ingredients. Sometimes all it takes is fresh vegetables, a little patience, and a bit of care. These quiet moments in the kitchen have become part of my daily life. They're simple, almost repetitive, but somehow they help me slow down after a busy day. While dinner was slowly coming together, I prepared some fruits for dessert. Today, I chose rambutan and a red dragon fruit from everything I bought at the supermarket. I always enjoy having a little fruit after dinner. It makes the meal feel more complete, even when it's just a simple home-cooked dinner. These small routines have quietly become part of my everyday life. Nothing is fancy, but they remind me that even ordinary days can have something to look forward to. Once the pork was fully cooked, it was time to add the water spinach. This is one of the simplest meals I know how to make, but it's also one of my favorites. There's something comforting about cooking food you've known since childhood. The smell, the warmth, and the familiar taste always make my small room feel a little more like home. I don't need a complicated meal to end the day. Sometimes a bowl of soup, a few slices of pork, and fresh vegetables are more than enough. After letting the pork cool for a few minutes, I sliced it into thin pieces. There's nothing complicated about this meal. Just boiled pork, fresh vegetables, and warm rice. Some of the simplest meals are often the ones I enjoy the most. Maybe because they remind me of home and of all the family dinners we used to share. Dinner was finally ready. Nothing fancy, just a simple meal made with the things I had brought home today. Looking at the table, I couldn't help but smile. Just a few hours earlier, all of these were still sitting on supermarket shelves. Now they've become a warm meal waiting for me after a long day. Living alone has taught me to appreciate moments like these. Cooking for myself, sitting down in a quiet room, and ending the day with a homemade meal. It may seem ordinary, but these are the moments that make me feel most at peace. After dinner, I always like to end the day with a little fruit. Today's dessert was simple, just some rambutan and red dragon fruit that I bought earlier. There's something peaceful about slowing down after a meal. No phone, no rushing, just a few quiet minutes to enjoy the evening. I've come to realize that happiness doesn't always come from big moments. Sometimes it's found in a bowl of fruit, a quiet room, and knowing that today was enough. Before ending the day, I like to spend a few quiet minutes taking care of myself. So tonight, I finally used the green tea face mask I bought earlier. When life gets busy, it's easy to forget about yourself. But I've learned that taking care of yourself doesn't always have to be something big or expensive. Sometimes it's just a few peaceful minutes at the end of the day, a chance to slow down, breathe, and appreciate everything this ordinary day has given me. Waiting for my face mask to do its job, I found myself thinking about the day. It wasn't exciting and nothing extraordinary happened, but somehow it still felt like a good day. With just $11, I brought home groceries, cooked a warm meal, shared dinner with my little cat, and ended the evening with a few quiet moments for myself. Maybe that's what happiness looks like for me right now. Not a perfect life, just an ordinary day lived with gratitude. Good night, and thank you for spending today with me.